All right, YouTube, how you doing? Welcome back to the channel. It is Thursday, May 8th. We got a 9-game MLB slate to dive into in today's video like we always do. I'm going to dive into each and every one of these games. I'm going to give you my prediction on the side. I'll give you my prediction on the total. We'll talk about any other plays like player props that we like within the game as well. But as always, guys, keep an eye down on the pinned comment of this video. That'll take you to all of my final plays, so I'm actually rolling with myself. If that does interest you, it's absolutely free down in the pinned comment. All right, YouTube, how you doing? Welcome back to the channel. I tell you guys I'm a dummy all the time. They don't suck. They've just been sucking. Get them down to -3 for more juice than Jose Canseco in his prime. Tell me you're new without telling me you're new. So don't go jumping down my throat in the comments, right? If you want to fade me, or if you do want to ride me, this still leaves a bad taste in my mouth, right? And remember, more chins, more wins. In terms of how we did yesterday on Wednesday, there is more reds than there is greens. It's not a terrible night. One of those reds being Jackson Jobe was a quarter unit play, but nonetheless, a slight losing night. It kind of feels like a winning night compared to our NBA night. So you know what? If you know, you know. In the NBA, we had a pretty rough night over there. But ultimately, we've been doing pretty damn well in the MLB. So I'm not going to let a 4-5 night necessarily get me down. And some of the reads were okay, right? We can put that word to them. It came down to like the bottom of the 5th, couple runs come in, and some of those first 5 plays didn't work. The Tigers being one of them, the Braves and Reds being one of them. So yeah, I'm not all that, discouraged, I guess we can say. And again, I'm comparing this to the other sport, the NBA. This looks like you won a damn award based on the plays versus what we did in the NBA last night. So let's go ahead and try and take some of the positives from yesterday and pull them and bring them into today. Guys, go ahead and hit that like button, hit that subscribe button as well. Keep dropping all of your favorite plays down in the comments. I think we're going to be bringing the ride of the day back, so you know what? Shout out to that. Not today, but we'll bring the ride of the day back pretty damn soon, and it's going to be in the MLB starting pretty damn soon. I just said pretty damn soon multiple times. All right, let's roll with it. All right, let's jump into game number 1 here. We got Minnesota taking on Baltimore. Bailey Ober on the mound going up against Dean Kramer. In terms of pitching advantage, I would say Minnesota has the strong one here. Does it worry me that Minnesota has kind of smoked Baltimore twice in this series? Yeah, I would want to lean towards Minnesota. The offense looks better. The pitching looks better. Baltimore's offense in this series, 1 run and 2 runs. But you guys, if you've been watching for a while, know how I feel about kind of getting involved with potential sweep situations. I always feel it's very hard to sweep these teams because they're all professionals. So that's the only thing kind of keeping me off of thinking that, the Twins can go out there and win this one. They have the better bullpen, the better starter, and I don't even think it's, deniable right now, the better offense. Throw in the fact that Bailey Ober is going to go fastball, slider, change, 3 main pitches. Baltimore, bottom 7 in terms of batting versus the fastball, bottom 10 in terms of batting against the slider, and bottom 8 in terms of batting against the change. So, yeah, Bailey Ober should have a decent game. In terms of his stats against Baltimore's roster, so the guys that make up that roster in the past, 46 plate appearances, so decent, 28.3% K rate, 4.3% walk rate, an average against of 167, an expected WOBA here of 246. So, yeah, I don't expect there to be a lot going on from Baltimore side. Maybe we can look at their team total under or something like that. But to me, again, the issue here is trying to avoid getting killed by like a potential sweep in a sense, because it's just hard to sweep teams. And even though that's not the most analytical thing, I'm always going to believe that. Where I would go in terms of a total, even though I kind of gave, the Twins some offensive credit, I don't mind the idea of a first 5 under in this one. Now, is it one of those spots where you guys know that I love my first 5 unders? Am I salivating, want to get this down as quick as I can? Not necessarily. You can get under 4.5 for -120. You want to pay the juice, which I do think could be okay in this one, -160 for the under 5. 4.5's probably okay, because I think this is either going to be very low scoring in the first 5, or it's going to just be like a runaway. You know what I mean? I don't think there's going to be any in between, so that half run may not be as much value as some may think. In this series so far, we've seen 5-1 and 3-2 in the first 5 innings. So I guess that 5 being a push could be worth it. But Bailey Ober on the mound at home, he's been kind of shaky to the first 5, and then Dean Kramer went on the road. He's been a little shaky to the first 5 too. So that's the direction I'm leaning in. I just don't necessarily want to sit here and tell you that this is a potential like slam dunk of a first 500, because I've been pretty damn confident with these things this year. I don't know if this falls into that category in a sense. So I'm trying to be transparent about that. In terms of where we go from a player prop perspective, I have one that I'm liking, and I do think that it's kind of based on Bailey Ober and what we should see from him. But Cedric Mullins here, under 1.5 hits, runs, and RBIs, batting .246 on the year, but against right-handed pitchers, .232, and his WRC plus drops as well. The concern is he's actually a guy in Baltimore that hits the slider well. He hits the fastball, hits the changeup well. So the pitch mix isn't exactly lining up to what we'd want to see, but, the right hand is. So we'll see if that makes its way into being a final play. All right, Red Sox taking on Texas. Red Sox squeak out the win yesterday. That was a very exciting game. I'm flipping back and forth, watching the Red Sox come back and watching the Celtics just blow it. And I'm like, what are these emotions that I'm feeling here? Today we have Brayan Bello on the mound going up against Jack Leiter. Brayan Bello, I think, is good, and I think he's finally starting to show it, right? 3 starts under his belt this year. His ERA is 2.55. At home, he's got a whip of just 1.03, batting average against of 195. Going up against Jack Leiter, who I don't think has really been terrible as a whole, but has looked bad in the last, I would say, couple starts, maybe start and a half, right? He doesn't pitch deep into games. Last time out, he faced Seattle, who now we're starting to learn maybe Seattle's offense is pretty good, but he went 4 1/3, 6 earned runs on 8 hits, 2 home runs, just 2 strikeouts on 2 walks. So I think that the Red Sox should have the starting pitching advantage here. Bello doesn't have the best stats against this Texas team, but it's in 64 plate appearances against, and he keeps the ball on the ground, at least a launch angle of 8.7, which is good. This Texas team on the year actually has been a team that puts the ball in the air. So I kind of like the idea of his matchup against them. He's going to go slider, sinker, changeup. The sinker being the only pitch that I'm worried about. Is that his number 1 pitch? Yes, but hopefully that is a decent spot. He really just has to get through the top of the order, and then he should be good. So ultimately, I think that the pitching advantage goes to Boston, and the offensive advantage as well. Do I think the Red Sox should be minus 135? No, I think we even saw yesterday that this is somewhat of a knotted, 50-50 type spot. But I do like the fact that the Red Sox are at home. Now, does that mean that they win at home? No, the Red Sox actually, I feel like, are better road teams just historically. But I'm going to lean towards Bello in the Red Sox in this spot. From a bullpen perspective, the Red Sox, they did go with 4 guys yesterday. Chapman went, Weissert went, Wilson, and then Bernardino also went. But, only Bernardino was someone that threw the day before, and even still, he only threw a few pitches. So I do think we should have a bullpen advantage for the Sox as well. So give me the Red Sox money line in this one. In terms of a total, that is a higher number than I expected, especially when I'm kind of giving Bello some props. But I'm going to trust what the books are throwing out here. I mean, we should have decent weather for this one, right? I believe it's going to be just slightly windy, but, over 70 degrees in Boston. So, yeah, I'll lean towards the over. But I think I like the Red Sox more than, I guess I would say, anything in this game. When we turn to a player prop perspective, we only have one. It's going to be Abraham Toro, Red Sox first baseman. If he does end up playing, which I think he will because Romy Gonzalez got hurt last night, I like his under 1.5 hits, runs, and RBIs. Reason being, I think the dude stinks. That's it. Does that mean that we're going to roll with it because we have all the analytics to back it and stuff? No. Just the eye test not really fitting this guy so far. Now, the eye test may not always be the way to go, but you can use your eyes and know that this deal over on Sleeper is pretty good. Ant-Man, Anthony Edwards, 0.5 points in the Warriors and Wolves game tonight. Yeah, we don't need analytics to tell us that Ant's going to score 1 point. You're also going to get a deposit match up to $100. Absolute no-brainer to go sign up over on Sleeper Picks, guys. That link will be down below in the description, as well as the pinned comment. It auto-applies the discount, the deposit match, and this free square here for Anthony Edwards. And they've been dropping a ton, and I mean a ton, of promotions too. So if you guys like discounted lines and whatnot, Sleeper is the stop to make. Again, that link will be down below in the description as well as the pinned comment. If you like player props and you like rolling with players in terms of your plays for the night, check out Sleeper. They have more offerings available and alternate lines and all that stuff. If it's available in your state and you're not on it, I think you'll regret it. Check it out. That link will be down below in the description as well as the pinned comment. Jump back into these games now. Kansas City taking on Chicago. Again, I almost wanted to roll with the first 5 under in this one. So they've played 3 games so far in this series. This is game number 4. Game number 1, we took the first 5 under, cashed. Game number 2, we took the first 5 under, cashed. Game number 3, we talked about it yesterday. I liked the spot for it. I didn't have the cojones to test my luck 3 times. But we might want to run it back again today. Now, we have Bubik on the mound for Kansas City going up against Davis Martin. I think my one concern here would be, is Kansas City going to be able to get to Davis Martin? I don't think that I'm worried all that much about Bubik against lefties. Lefty against the Chicago lineup. Him being a lefty, he's been pitching really well, especially at home. He's got a .91 whip on the year, a FIP of 2.49, an average against of 191. So again, I don't think I'm all that worried about him. My slight concern would be, are the Royals, who, their offense at least has been a little bit more consistent. I'm not going to sit here and say they're a great offense yet, because they've only in this series scored 3, 4, and 2 runs, but they're less of the ones and the zeros that they were dropping out before, right? That's kind of my concern, but that is my total play. I'm going to lean towards the first 5 under. You can get under 5 right now, which seems like it could be a good spot. Another thing that, is worth considering, if I am worried about the Royals, you might have a good point to sit there and be like, well, if you're worried about the Royals, why don't you just look at a White Sox team total under, right? And that is something to consider. Under 3.5 right now for the full game. This Royals bullpen, we can probably trust them, and we have been able to trust them. They have had some guys work, but realistically, only a few guys have gone in the last 2 days. A decent amount of pitches, sure, but I still think that this bullpen could be okay. And if Bubic goes out there and gives us a solid first 5 like we think, then we could be, cooking with gas here in a sense. So, yeah, I'm going to lean towards the first 5 under, as well as maybe a team total under for the White Sox. We've cashed it a few times, but there's also been a couple times this year when we roll with just a team total under for the White Sox. And I remember the one where they scored like 5 runs in the first 2 innings a while back, and I was like, okay, well, that sucked. But I know that we have cashed the first 5 for them a couple times this year, so maybe we roll with that. And that's kind of how we would play, honestly, like Kansas City money line in a sense too, trusting Bubic, trusting what I think the offense may be starting to get their feet under them a little bit, and trusting the bullpen. Minus 250 is a little bit too much. I don't love the idea of minus 1.5, because we really haven't even seen, I know I'm giving them credit for the offense, but Kansas City hasn't covered that minus 1.5 in 2 straight games now, even though they've won 2 games, right? 4-3 and then 2-1. And obviously it's a little bit tough, because even if they're up by 1 run, they won't get their last at bats in the 9th. So I don't love that minus 1.5. Could you go them first 5 run line? Yes, I do think that that's a good play as well, but I think Chicago under in terms of their team total may be the way around kind of getting to the idea of, liking, I guess you could say liking Kansas City. Like, if that's how you want, you're probably trusting their pitching more than anything. Like, I don't think anyone's sitting here being like, all right, well, let's back Kansas City because of their offense. I don't think we're at that point yet, right? In terms of where we go from a player prop perspective, I do have one player prop here that I like, and I think it could be a good look. Now, he's one of the guys that bats lefties well. That being said, he's a righty bat, and Bubic has been better against good against righty bats this year, not saying better. Lennon Sosa, under 1.5 hits, runs, and RBIs. The slider and the fastball could give him trouble today. In terms of the fastball, he's going to throw it up, Bubic, right? Sosa likes it right over the plate. So anything up and in, which is where he's going to throw nearly 14%, actually combined, nearly 30% of his fastballs are up in the zone. That is not exactly where Sosa loves to hit it. So I do like that spot in terms of under hits, runs, and RBIs. I like the matchup because of the fastball, really. Then I believe we had one more, if I'm not mistaken. No, I guess not. We do have, Andrew Vaughn I have noted, but obviously it seems like we always have him, right? So his under, this was just because of the value at minus 110. He bats lefties pretty poorly. Again, he's a righty bat. The fastball and slider, though, are the 2 main pitches. He hits those okay. So we have those noted simply because of the fact that I do think that, he's worth considering every time, because he's kind of an all or nothing guy. But I would say Sosa takes a little bit of priority in my brain about what we're actually trying to get down and when. All right, double header here, neither one of which are going to truly interest me, so let's just move through it fast. You have Kyle Freeland on the mound for Colorado. I would say that he's at least one of the Colorado pitchers, or the Colorado pitcher, that has somewhat of a chance to hold his own. Problem being here is that he's kind of struggled against righties this year, and this is a pretty heavy, especially with him being a righty and any switch hitters that come in as well. But I do think that we have 6 righties already listed in the lineup and 3 lefties, no switch hitters right now. So that's kind of a concern. This is a Detroit team that hits lefties really well, so I would slightly say, oh, Colorado's the move here. But there's a lot of factors that point towards this Detroit team. So I'll say Detroit in the over. I'll say Colorado in the over. But if someone likes Detroit, or wants to parlay both games Detroit, I do get it, because this is a Colorado team that isn't all that fantastic. I think that we can all admit that, right? I mean, Jackson Jobe yesterday didn't exactly have the best game, and this thing got a little bit sweaty. Colorado, tied it up in the 5th inning, but then in extras, Detroit ends up winning. So yeah, they were closer than people thought. But to me, I just don't necessarily want to sit here and say that I like. To me, this is how I'd put it. Colorado probably has the value because of that plus 165 with a half decent pitcher on the mound. Detroit has obviously the better chance to win in a sense. So it's like, yeah, if you want to pay juice, you want to work them into some sort of parlay or something, that's probably the side. But if you're just taking this as a straight play, which is what we're talking about here, I can't look at anything other than Colorado at that number. And next we have Montero going up against Tanner Gordon. I think I would just look at the over in this one as well. But again, second leg of a doubleheader, not exactly where I'm looking to put my hard-earned bread on, because anything that happens in that first game could impact the second one. Now, if you're waiting till after the first game, sure, that's an entirely different horse of a different color, whatever the saying is, right? Shout out to, what movie was that? Dorothy and the Wizard of Oz. All right, boom. That was blank in my mind for a second. But let's talk baseball. I would say, Detroit, if you're going to parlay these two together, but the over probably in this one ultimately. But again, doubleheaders, not exactly what I'm loving. All right, Tampa Bay taking on Philadelphia. Ryan Pepe Le Pew Pepio on the mound here for Tampa Bay, going up against Jesus Luzardo, who has just been really, really solid, right? Like, he's coming off of one of his worst starts of the year, last start, and it was 5 1/3, 9 hits, 2 earned runs, 6 strikeouts, 1 walk. So that being one of his worst starts says a lot, right? The dude has been crushing it. 1.54 ERA, whip of 1.18, a FIP of 1.93. His numbers do jump slightly on the road, but still nothing to really be worried about, especially with a Tampa Bay team that still does not hit lefties all that well. The one concern here, and I'll jump into the dashboard to show you something, and I'll explain how to get access to this dashboard each and every day from us to help you with your research process. You can see here, we're going to get a lot of sliders out of Luzardo, right? And he has a crazy chase rate and swing and miss rate. A lot of that is the slider. This is actually a top 10 team in Tampa Bay against the slider. And you can even see here, only one guy, and it's going to be Chris Morel here, doesn't hit the slider well. Everyone else has an above 0 runs above average, which is a weighted WOBA stat. I think it's per X amount of plate appearance or something. That's how you get to runs above average. So yeah, that's a little concerning that maybe this isn't the best spot for him, even though he's a lefty, even though he's pitching well, even though you see these numbers against lefties. I get it. I'm still going to lean Philadelphia, but I will say, I don't know, for multiple reasons, if I get that down today. So reason number one, that slider. Reason number two, I would say Tampa Bay still has, a half-decent bullpen, right? Like, I'm not going to sit here and tell you that they don't. Now, they did pitch a lot of guys in the last couple of days, but still a decent bullpen, right? Whereas Philadelphia's bullpen has been a little shaky. They are rested, but still maybe a slight bullpen advantage. And number three, we're right back to a potential sweep situation, right? Which maybe if you want to really get to, Philly, you look at their team total over or something like that. That way you're not solely banking on a sweep or a win here. But we do have 30% chance of rain. There is wind blowing out. It is 85 degrees. Actually, yeah, it is. I was going to say it doesn't matter because they're in the dome there, but this is the temporary stadium, so it will matter. Not the temporary stadium, but their temporary stadium. So, yeah, I would say that maybe a team total over could be a slight good look there, just kind of fading Pepe Le Pew. He has no real sample. He has 2 plate appearances against this current roster, so nothing major there. Same thing with Luzardo, only 29 plate appearances, so it's not like either pitcher is going to know what they're seeing. I guess you could say the opposite, though. Batters might not know what they're seeing from the pitching perspective either. I would go with Philly. I go their team total over. But I do get concerned that maybe the Rays put up a respectable number today. There's a lot saying that they won't, though. But there's also a lot saying that there is. So not to confuse you even more, I would say Philly or their team total over is how I would end up rolling with this. In terms of player props, let me make sure that I have one in this one. We do indeed. We have Danny Jansen here under 1.5 hits, runs, and RBIs, paying a little bit of juice, but I like the matchup here against a lefty. So him on the season batting 147. That ain't that great, right? Against lefties, though, batting 087. So that is obviously a very, very bad batting average. Luzardo has a little bit of struggles against right-handed bats. I will admit that. In the slider, he should get Jansen to strike out against, who has a 35.3% K rate on sliders this year, but his WOBA does jump up to 388. So we want to try and make sure that he's not going to hit it. The good thing is, to righty bats, Luzardo likes to throw it down and into righty bats. Jansen seems to only hit it when it's on the outside of the plate. So I do like that. We're going to see fastball after that, and pretty much that's all we have to worry about. His WOBA drops to 223 against the fastball. So I think that we could definitely get behind Danny Jansen under in this spot. That's also a way to kind of back Luzardo, picking out the guy that we think he matches up pretty well against. I also had Curtis Mead in this one. I guess we could say similar reasons. That's the one that we also might roll with, the slider and the fastball being 2 pitches that I think are decent. So yeah, we're going to be targeting what most likely is a couple of those guys towards the mid-lower tier of this Tampa Bay team. I believe Mead's batting 5th and Jansen's 6th. they switched it around a lot. They could be 4 or 5 for all I know, and all I care, to be honest, too. I do think that both these could be decent looks, and you're paying the price for them. They're both minus 160, but they kind of do fall into that bucket of ones that I really do consider for a final play. So keep an eye on the final plays to see what we ultimately roll with, but I think there's a decent amount that we could get behind in this game. Guys, getting access to the dashboard is super, super simple. All you have to do is head over to GuyBostonSports.com. You'll see it right here, GuyBostonSports.com. In the members area, you head over to the MLB dashboard section. I'm already logged in, so I'm going to see the dashboard right away. But you get this. You can open it up. You can zoom in, do whatever you want. Print it out. Like I say, when I fly or travel, I love to print this out and scribble on them. But you get each and every game broken down in a visual format. Pitcher data from their season, the situation they're in, whether it's away or home, against lefties, against righties. We have bullpen data down here. You also have pitch mix, meaning how often do you guys throw these pitches, chase rate, swing and miss rate, and then all to the right here from the middle on is offensive numbers and offensive data. So we have team data here from a overall versus righty versus righty lefty away or home, depending on where they are. You can see it auto updates. Then we have versus pitch, and then we also have batting average and on an OPS and per pitch data for the projected lineup of that day. Really cool ad that we've had recently here is being able to do that, because against left-handed hitters, okay, well, let's take a peek at how many lefties and how many righties are in the lineup, right? So really good stuff. This is something that I built for myself a couple years ago, and we've constantly added to it. If you look at the one 2 years ago, it looks nothing like this, right? And I figured I'd bring it to the people, because what this did originally is help me save tons and tons of time in the mornings or late night when I'm researching to record videos. It puts a bunch of different sites, consolidates it all into one place. I manually update it every single day. So guys, again, it's in the members area. If you're not logged in, it's going to say, hey buddy, hold on. Hold your horses. You need a membership. We have 3 memberships available. If you want the NBA dashboard, that's cool. If you want the all sports, meaning you get both dashboards, or if you just want MLB, you get that right there. So consider checking it out today over on GuyBostonSports.com. Atlanta taking on Cincinnati. I'm going to jump right back to something that we ended up losing yesterday, but honestly wasn't the worst look, right? It was one of those ones that came to the bottom of the 5th, and boom, we end up losing. I don't mind the first 5 under in this one. So we have Spencer Schwellenbach on the mound for Atlanta going up against Nick Lodolo. All right, so my building evacuation alarm just went off. We did evacuate. Everything's all good, but trying to remember where we're here. I like the first 5 under. Schwellenbach, Lodolo both like to keep it on the ground. Sorry if I'm out of breath. And one thing that I will say is that, Schwellenbach's going to throw a lot of sliders, a lot of splitters, a lot of sinkers, a lot of curves. He does throw the fastball, but realistically, all those other pitches should work against the Cincinnati squad. And then from a Lodolo perspective, he is a lefty, and even using the dashboard, right? You could see that this is an Atlanta team that their offense is starting to get going over the last 30 days. Against lefties, not so much. A difference in 20 points of batting average, 20 in WRC+. Plus their K rate goes up against lefties, so a lot of numbers here, especially the power numbers, aren't as great against lefties. So I do like that in the mix as well. So first 5 under is realistically the main thing that I'm looking at in this one. I would say that there's an advantage on the Atlanta side of things just because of Schwellenbach. He's been pitching well, has some good numbers at home. And this is a Cincinnati offense that I would say is a little volatile. And I've been saying that since the beginning of the year, right? That said, they went through their 3-game stretch of bad, scoring 1-0 runs, that type of stuff. They may be well on their way now to scoring more, because they scored 4 yesterday and 1. And like I've said, they've been going in these 3-game spurts of a lot of runs scored, barely any. A lot of run, barely any. Maybe that 4 is a ramp up. So I'm still going to, take it easy and say Atlanta's probably the move, maybe first 5 run line. But just note that, Cincinnati may start getting going. I just think Schwellenbach could be a decent little matchup for them today. He's got a 133 average against the current Reds roster. Only in 19 plate appearances against him, but I still think that's okay. And we got another player prop in the mix too. Hopefully this kind of correlates to the under that we like. But Spencer Steer under 1.5 hits, runs, and RBIs. I would say this is realistically based on the pitch mix that we'll see from Schwellenbach, whether it's the fastball, slider, sinker, anything that anything that he's going to be throwing. I like that because for his WOBA, his average on the year is not all that great. It does jump a little bit against righties, but his WOBA for all 3 of those pitches, weighted on base average, goes down severely. And the slider actually surprisingly the only one that he doesn't strike out more against than his current numbers. So yeah, good matchup here for Schwellenbach against Spencer Steer. Next up, we got the Angels taking on Toronto. We had Toronto's team total under last night. I wish we went with an alternate line because we had under 2.5, and we could have gone 1.5 for plus money. Didn't ultimately end up doing that, but Kikuchi did his job. I love to know that this this Blue Jays team does not hit the slider well. We've now backed 2 up and down pitchers against Toronto 2 times in a row. Tanner Houck, who throws that sweeper slash slider, and then Kikuchi, who throws that slider as well. That's very awesome to note. Maybe the problem on this side here, we have Soriano going up against this Toronto team. He only throws the slider 8% of the time, so we don't really have to worry about that, but he does throw the sinker, and Toronto hits that fairly well. He also goes to the knuckle curve, surprisingly, and they hit that well as well. So I think this is a good spot for Toronto. Chris Bassett's on the mound for them. Not that I'm a big Chris Bassett guy, honestly, whatsoever, but he's having a respectable season, right? And one that I can't really sit there and say it's terrible. He's going 6 innings, maybe 3 earned runs through those innings. Not crazy amount of base runners because he's not walking many guys. So yeah, I'm going to lean towards Toronto, but I'll also give both these pitchers some credit. They like to keep the ball on the ground. And what we've seen out of the offense is, recently I wouldn't necessarily say is all that, overwhelming. Have they been going off? No. Have they been, mutes? No. But I kind of like the under in this one, maybe a first 5 under, kind of backing both these pitchers, because Soriano, though he's definitely had his ups and downs, still was a solid first 5 pitcher at the beginning of the year. And then flip it over to Chris Bassett. In all but one of his starts, I believe it's 6 of 7 starts, he's hit the first 5 under. So yeah, I kind of like both these guys in the first 5 under day. We can go 4.5 or 5, depending on the juice you want to pay. I might go 4.5 because, again, this is similar to the game we talked about before, where I feel like it could be like all or nothing in a sense, where it's either going to be this is dead and gone, which, hey, knowing our plays can always happen, right? Or it's going to be like 1-0 after 5, something like that, knock on wood. So yeah, I think that's how I'd play it. I go Toronto as well as the first 5 under. All right, last game of the night here. This could be a good one. I think I like the over in this one, but Yamamoto obviously is a very good pitcher. Brandon Pfaadt on the mound. I like to call him Brandon Dat. I don't know if I really want to back him. He was one of the guys that I faded constantly last year, right? But then coming into this year, I was like, I think that we can back this guy. And he did look pretty good. He had a little stretch there where he's pitching really well. And he might be back now. This was against Philly, in Philly, so obviously that could be a little telling. Philly's a good offense. But he didn't look good. 4 2/3, 9 hits, 6 earned runs on 7 runs, 6 strikeouts, so 0 walks, but 2 home runs. Do we think the Dodgers are going to be any different than that? You know what I mean? Sorry if you guys notice a bunch of cuts during this game. Look at my eyes. They're like red. We were just outside because of the evacuation. Allergies right in. Now I'm struggling for this one. But 1 game left. We got this. His current numbers against this Dodgers squad, in terms of the guys on the team, 85 plate appearances against, a 329 average against. He does have a nice strikeout rate of 29.4, but a WOBA of 398, an expected slugging 499. Nothing really, knocking your socks off, right? Whereas Yamamoto, I would say, has the pitching advantage here. He's allowed 1 run in his last 5 starts. I guess technically his 4 starts too, but his last 5 starts. He's averaging 6 innings pitched per game. You got to look at the Dodgers in this spot, right? You're getting them at minus 160. As much as I love this Arizona team, and I do, I think they're one of my favorite teams to roll with. I like their pitching. I also do like their offense. This Dodgers team should be primed and ready to go. I think they put 10 up yesterday against Miami. Arizona put 1 up against the Mets in terms of these two teams playing against one another. 9-1 to the over in their last 10. So yeah, the over is probably something that I'll consider in this one. I just hope that Arizona's offense kind of gets going, because when you think about it, we are rolling with an over with a talented pitcher like Pfaadt on the mound, right? But also a really talented pitcher with freaking Yamamoto on the mound. So I hope these offenses are ready to get rolling, because in games so far this year, the over has been dead when Yamamoto pitches. From Brandon Pfaadt's perspective, it's been kind of 50-50. So if you don't see this as a final play, just know that I ultimately decided to trust Yamamoto versus the bats of Arizona. But give me the Dodgers as well as the over, and then no player props in this one as of right now. But guys, that is going to wrap it up for today's show. Hopefully you guys did enjoy. Pardon the little interruption there with, I don't know if you guys heard the alarm or whatnot, but that Braves and Cincinnati game kind of had to stop short, and then I was like out of breath when we came back. It was actually like about 40 minutes between that cut. It'll be 2 seconds for you guys. But yeah, lost my place a little bit, but nonetheless, had everything good to go. But hopefully you guys did enjoy. If you did, hit that like button, hit that subscribe button. Catch you guys in the next one, all right? Peace out.